Welcome to High Fashion Sewing Machines and Quilt Shop. I'm Bernina Jeff and I'm doing the FTCU workshop today. This is a monthly deal we do at High Fashion Sewing for everybody that has that Floriani FTCU software. Today we're going to do some exercises on how to do the embossing and how to bring in a design from artwork from the internet and break it apart and make it usable to fill and such. So here we go. I want everybody to, before you start, go to your Floriani Club and watch the weekly videos. The one that Trevor Conquergood does, the embossing. He does a maple leaf and he shows you how to emboss. And I'm going to kind of go through that real quick for you right now, and then after that I'm going to show you how to bring in an item and then go through the artwork wizard and make it usable to fill. So first off, we are going to pick a shape, and I'm going to go out to my custom shapes, left click on that, and I'm picking out the bone, and I'm going to transform it. I'm going to use my transform option here. Make sure the maintain aspect ratio is not checked, so I'm going to make it 6 inches in width and 1.2 in height and apply that. Now I'm going to click the fill and I'm going to deselect the fill and I hit apply. So now I just have an outline. So let's go ahead and rotate that to about 45 degrees, just guesstimate it. And at this point there's a little 2 pieces of paper. Sometimes you need to recenter this to your middle of your workspace, so double click real quick on the magnifying glass and it will fill your workspace better. These little 2 pieces of paper is a quick duplicate, and it duplicates it and sets it off to the side. So I'm going to bring that, grab that, bring it up, come on, grab it, bring it up on top. Now I'm lined up. I'm just going to hit the mirror image or horizontally, and now there you got crossbones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these lines right here. This is one way we have a tool called Weld. Depending upon where your toolbars are, this Weld is up here on the upper right hand side. It lived off of my workspace, so I moved it down here. So I'm going to select all items. So I'm going to go down here to the sequence view, select all items. You could also use Control A, whichever works best for you. And I'm going to go up to the Weld Tool. You want to go down on this little down arrow, hover over. There's a trim, there's a weld, intersect, and exclude. So I'm going to use weld in this method. And look there, it took away those little lines that were in the middle. So if you were going to fill this or anything else, it would not show those lines. Today we're going to emboss this. So now I'm going to go up and pick a rectangle. So I'm going to go to the pencil, I'm going to pick a rectangle. I'm going to start holding down and make a rectangle around this. And there's my rectangle. It's still attached to my cursor, so I'm going to go up here and hit my select tool. And now that rectangle is selected. I'm just going to go ahead and pick a standard fill and apply that to the rectangle. And now we have a blue box there. Our bones are underneath there, so we are going to select those crossbones that we have. That's the artwork. So select those crossbones. So those are, you can't see them underneath here, but they're selected because it's highlighted blue. Come down to this quarter of a rising sun. It's called embossing, and left click on there. And we have embossed that. You can't barely see it here. I'm going to make it into stitches, so it is in stitches. So there's an embossing there. Let me enlarge one little area so you can kind of see the embossing. See how you can see the outline of that skull or the crossbones? And let's double click the magnifying glass to get it to size. So that quick and easy. You can add any artwork to this and it will emboss it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to bring in some artwork and then make it available to fill or stitch out. So I'm going to go ahead and select all this Control A and delete it just to get a clean workspace without taxing my environment here. I'm going to go, there's a wizard hat up here, and I'm going to click down on it, and one is cross stitch, one is photo stitch, the other is artwork wizard. I'm going to select artwork wizard by left clicking on it. Comes up with this menu. I'm going to select an image. My images are my scans. I just went to the internet and saved a line image of a skull. So I'm going to open that up. I'm going to hit next. The size is approximately 4 by 5. That works just fine. I'm going to hit next again. It's going to convert it to two colors, the background and the black. That's perfect. And then I'm going to hit next and finish. So there is my artwork sitting on my workspace. At this point, if I hit fill, I thought I would just fill up everything but the eyes and nose and stuff, but if I hit a standard fill, all it does is it fills the black lines, because every line in here, let me enlarge one area that's really large for you. The line in here is an inner line and an outer line. So if I undo my fill, this is what the artwork looks like. So it has an outer line here and an inner line there. So when the software goes to use a fill, it treats it almost like a line item. But I figured out a way. I had an aha moment this morning how I can make a single line out of this and make a fill, so with a skull head with eyes and such. So I'm going to go ahead and double click my magnifying glass to make it fit my workspace. I already undid the fill. You have to select your select tool now. Now, each item, if I select just this part, if I pull it off to the side, see, that's just the main skull area. We have items here. I'm going to do undo to put it back. If I right click on this, I can break it apart. And I'm going to turn off my, and when I break it apart, it turns into two full on black artworks. So I don't need two artworks, because one's an outside and one's an inside artwork. I'm going to erase or delete the inside artwork. So now I just have the one large skull. Now this is one of the eyeballs. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to break it apart and delete the second one again. You see where I'm going here. I'm going to do this for each piece. I'm going to break it apart and right click, delete. To break it apart, you highlight it, you right click on it, and you have another menu, and you have this break apart area. So I'm going to highlight this. I also have break apart up here on the main toolbar too. So this is quicker for me. Break apart, got two of them. I'm going to erase one of them, delete it. So looks I still have an extra eye there, socket. Delete that. So there's my parts. So my eyes, nose, and such are right behind the main skull area. And I'm going to color those a different color and then delete the under stitches so they'll stitch out nicely. So I'm going to undo my movement there. So these are still artwork. Now let's go ahead and pick this artwork and just do a standard fill, this little purple star. And let's pick the jaw. There's my standard fill. Now if you don't want to do one at a time, you can select one, hold down your control key, select the other ones, and then hit the fill, and it will fill all those guys out. And I want that a different color, so I'm going to turn those orange. How about that? And this is in a 3D mode, so let's do a slow stitch out and see how it's going to stitch. So it's stitching out, and it stitches the eyes and the nose area right over the top of the solid stitching area. So if I select the main skull area and hit Control and select the eye and the last eye, and I right click and say remove overlap stitches, I will left click on there. It'll ask me how close, so I just leave it at the default to 0.05. And we have a skull area with the cutouts, so you won't have double layers of stitching in that area, and it'll perform better for you when you stitch it out. So then all you do is take it to your sewing machine and stitch it out the way you like. I'm going to select this item, turn it black, select the jaw, turn it black, and there you go. Now remember those crossbones we did earlier? You could set those behind there and crop out areas of those too. So you're just limited to what you can find as artwork on the internet and your imagination. And I stitched this out earlier today on a mask. So we have that little piece of artwork that I turned into stitches. And I put this on a sticky stabilizer and just stitched it in just about 9 minutes. You got a personalized mask for Halloween, ready to go. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. I had no idea how to get the fill on here this morning until I figured out to break apart that artwork. You can't do it as a group, you have to do it as parts. So hopefully this will give you some clues to have some fun with your FTCU software. Remember to subscribe to Bernina Jeff, and if you own a Bernina 7 series, 4 series, or 5 series, I have about 15 or 20 videos. And I also sell the perfect oil for all your sewing machines. It's a precision oil, and you can call the shop at 970-256-1293 to order that oil or any items that you might need. Thank you very much.